Hello guys, and welcome back to HJW Gaming for my Week 3 server update. If you haven't seen the previous, check them out. The links will be in the description or on my channel. But I've got something a little bit different for you today. On top of the usual kind of map update and talking through how things have shifted since the last video, I've actually spoken to a lot of the other fellowship and faction leaders and got some voice recordings so they can tell you their story of the server from their perspective, so you can get a nice balanced view from a lot of the other factions on the map. Hopefully you guys really enjoy that. I know I have enjoyed listening through them, so hopefully you do as well. And yeah, without further ado, we'll jump straight into the video. So, first thing you'll notice is we have shifted position. If I look at the map, we have moved up to the top of Gladden Fields, kind of on the border with Carrock, and you'll also see that the map has shifted pretty significantly since the Week 2 video. So I'll kind of talk from, I'll start in the west and slowly move across to the east. So I'll start in the southwest and talk through kind of this region down here. So this is obviously Rohans Land, and last time it was fully all the way with Rohan as well. But that doesn't kind of tell the full story of the week that's just gone past. So what originally happened, you'll notice that actually my faction Gondor currently own this pass between Rohan and Isengard. So what happened is we talked through how Lyndon and Rohan at the end of the last week had decided to end their naps with, or their non-aggression pacts with, Isengard and start to hit into them. So Isengard, in Rohan's perspective, retaliated, and they came through this pass here and attacked down into Nan Lefnui, and they did actually own both Nan Lefnui and West Nan Lefnui at one point. This was very early in the week, maybe like kind of Monday, Tuesday. They owned both of these, having come through this pass here. Rohan did stalemate them for a little while. They did, considering there's a player discrepancy between the two, they did a pretty good job of holding them off, and they did actually ask my faction Gondor to come and try for help. So we moved through this pass over here and came through the Paths of the Dead, as you can see. We did have Fellowship Fortresses, of course, up here, which have since come down. But yeah, through Paths of the Dead, and then came to support in Nan Lefnui, which sounds very simple, as of course you can see that Rohan have taken back their land, so it sounds like a simple affair, but actually was much more difficult than it sounds, because we didn't really think about this. Coming through Paths of the Dead was an absolute nightmare, because every time we tried to reinforce, any reinforcements or any commanders marching through Paths of the Dead, if they collided, we were basically wiping out masses of our own troops, crashing into each other, which was an absolute disaster. So in the end, we spoke to Rohan, and they allowed us to capture Langstrad Keep from them, which we took from them so we could relocate a select number of players to come and help with the Isengard threat and kind of supplement the Rohan force. And as you can see, eventually that has yielded fruit for Rohan. They have taken their lands back, and then they've also pushed through the pass in Undrast and came up through, and you can see they have a pin here where they've taken West Tarlower. It's a fairly small ping, just over 1 million. I think it was a little bit bigger a couple of days ago, as they did take this a few days ago. And meanwhile, we also took the pass that Isengard came through and cleared forts on both sides to kind of remove that threat of them coming back. You can see they do still have some forts here, but it's kind of limited threat, as we have taken a lot of the other regions north of it. Speaking of north, so if I look a little bit further up, you can see that unfortunately for Isengard, we have captured their capital of Orthanc. So we came through much further up, actually. We came through the Misty Mountains, and we've been slowly pushing downwards, taking Aragon, Moria, of course this pass here as well, and then Dunfermline. And as we slowly approach their capital over the past few days, the reason this was done was, of course, as they were fighting Rohan, and they've also been fighting Lyndon as well. I'll talk through some of these pins in a moment, and of course another significant entry on the map. As they were pressing Lyndon, we're trying our best to support our other allies in Lyndon to draw the Isengard force away and try and, remove some troops and just kind of help Lyndon defend their lands where possible. And to do that, we had to keep pushing and put obviously the threat of defending on the Isengard capital. In the end, they didn't really defend it, to be honest. They kind of just let us free walk through their lands and take their capital, which was surprising. But that's how we've ended up with Orthanc. And since then, we've then continued our push across to yesterday. So this is being recorded on the Monday. So on the Sunday, we captured Erin Vaughan as well from Isengard. So that's why we're not too worried about kind of the threat from Enedwaith and Tower Lower, as of course they're kind of almost like cut off from where most of their bases are relocated. So that's how we ended up with Orthanc and kind of the reasoning behind it. If I keep pushing across more towards the northwest, you will see that actually Lyndon has lost its capital as well, with Isengard taking over. So here you can see the Grey Havens has been taken by Isengard. Again, this happened pretty early in the week. Lyndon, as you can see by all the red pings, Lyndon have been trying to defend or get back their keeps as best possible. Lots of big pins here. There's almost 11 million there. Another 2 here between us in Erin Vaughan with Isengard. Another 5.8 here. So Lyndon are throwing everything they kind of have at it to try and get their keeps back from Isengard and resume their capital. Meanwhile, you'll see the rest of their lands have been eaten up quite heavily. So I think these were Lyndon lands as well, if I'm not mistaken, which were then taken by Isengard and then retaken by Gondor. But of course, Lothlorien, you'll see here as well, has taken into Lyndon lands. So because of the threat from the west from Lyndon whilst they were fighting Isengard, and I think in retaliation for the fact that they feel that Lyndon switched sides. I think I discussed this in the last episode, that one fellowship in Lyndon kind of was falling towards one side of the Server Alliance, and then which was Fia coming towards Lothlorien and Isengard, and then Theo with ourselves, Gondor and Mordor, because there was kind of a split in Lyndon. And then in the end, because they came down on our side, I think this was a bit of a retaliation towards Lyndon to try and avenge that decision, as it did sway the server balance kind of heavily in our favour. And also to try and pressure them, because potentially if they pressured hard enough, maybe Lyndon wouldn't want to lose its capital and might swap back to the other side. Thankfully, they haven't done that. But yeah, you can see they've had their lands eaten into by Lothlorien. We've also seen Angmar start to appear on the map. They haven't really been particularly active so far this season, but they have quite a few rune defectors. So a lot of players left rune early in the season due to a disagreement between leaders. You'll probably catch that on the voice notes a little bit later on from rune, and I'll also talk through kind of like a little bit of the statement note I got from Angmar. But they've kind of got some active players now, and they're also eating into the Lyndon lands, of course, whilst they're elsewhere defending. So Lyndon are kind of shoved into a corner here at the minute, to be honest, between Lyndon, Nan Lun, and then also they still have some around the Blue Mountains, but they're kind of guerrilla fighting for their lives to try and get their lands back whilst we try to support them. You see, we've supported up here by kind of cutting Lothlorien's access away, so they should have limited impact now being dealt by Lothlorien, as we have captured this pass as we push north to stop Lothlorien being able to push from their lands into Lyndon's. So it'll just be the members that are left in this area which are kind of trapped there now, which of course helps ourselves in Gondor as well as we push Lothlorien, as now they have some of their players trapped on this western side that can't support in the middle or the east. But yeah, you'll see there's quite a few areas here. We're currently pushing up through here. Mainly it's Dawn with a kind of supplementary force from home as well. Kind of just pushing up here, you can see, towards this pass here, which is on the border of Erin Vaughan. So we're going to start moving into Ered Luin shortly. So then we'll be able to kind of supplement again that Lyndon force and help them reclaim their capital. So these battle pings, big pings, are going to start getting even bigger. So that's kind of the story of the west side of the map. If we move into the middle, you'll see there has been, again, a change. Southern Anduin Vale has remained Lothlorien, as the plan originally was for Mordor to take this, but they haven't been able to move over as of yet, as they've still been engaged in the same wars as we saw in the last episode with Lothlorien and Erebor. I'm going to stick into the middle for now. You can see we have pushed north, as of course I was located in Gladden Fields. We've taken Upper Anduin Vale, Gladden Fields, and also Carrock, for the reason, as I said there, so we could take this pass and cut Lothlorien's access to hurt Lyndon and kind of give Lyndon a breather from that side, which has worked. And we located up here, so of course we could keep fighting in Carrock. Since then, the fighting has moved elsewhere, as you'll see from the battle pings, moving further west. So this is, of course, central Mirkwood. Now, this originally was owned by Mordor, but we took this yesterday to kind of aid us in relocating and fighting Lothlorien. Originally, Mordor owned this, and Lothlorien were coming through this pass here, and Erebor came through this pass here. As of course, this area does threaten both of their capital regions, so both had to respond and fight against Mordor, at which point Mordor started to find themselves a little bit overwhelmed. There were some truly brilliant pings on here, near 30 million battle pings, as Mordor stood up to the test of both crashing against them for a good few days. Eventually, though, both did come through, and once both are through, they kind of washed over and were taking big swathes of Mirkwood, to the point where there actually was threat on the Mordor, on the Burj Khalifa, so the actual Mirkwood keep itself. They reached the door of this, but at the same time, we'd been speaking with Mordor, and they'd asked us to support them here, so we came through and helped to clear Lothlorien out, and then agreed to take the central Mirkwood keep so that we could relocate and get better resources, and more importantly cut Lothlorien's time taking our tiles from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, so that suddenly the kind of wave will go more in our favour. And that has yielded fruit so far, as you'll see. We have pushed, if I start from Burj Khalifa, we have continued to push up and round. This has been going on for a good few days now. Lothlorien have some fantastically strong fighters, and they're very, very good in the kind of tile war scenario. They do just kind of paint the area red, which is brilliant to see, and an absolute nightmare to deal with, as you can see here. And we're just kind of continuing to push up towards those paths to try and clear out the passes, to try and clear out the threat on central Mirkwood. Of course, it will go back to Mordor at some point, but for now we're just pushing up towards these crossings and the pass, where of course every Lothlorien member pretty much is located on the other side. Decent ping here, 10 mil. This was, between us and Lothlorien about 15, I think, as of yesterday, but this has kind of dropped a little bit. Again, nothing compared to the 25 to 30 mil pings that were here before. We have a little bit of Erebor scrapping with Mordor, but primarily that's occurring over on this eastern side of the map. So, as you see, Rune's been pushed back a little bit by Lothlorien. So this is Lothlorien's kind of second fellowship. Neon, which are the two season fellowship we spoke through previously, they have pushed across the east and gone to try and fight Rune and push back to help Erebor, which they did very well, capturing the Greater Rune Keep. And similarly, Mordor, to go and support Rune, has been fighting with Erebor, as you can see from these pings here. You've got 300k there, 8 mil in total almost. So you've got about 17 mil worth of pings happening in Erebor lands as well, as the threat does kind of come down towards their capital as well, so they're scrapping for their lives. So as you can see, the map's changed pretty dramatically, but we have a huge amount of pings from all the way from east to west. There is pings on the very far west, all the way to the very far east, some in the middle. Basically, this server is just carnage. There is fighting everywhere. Constant battles, a little bit of drama here and there, and it's just a fantastic server, I think, to be involved in for pretty much everyone. Of course, if you're on the losing side, it won't be as fun, but I'm sure most people who enjoy the kind of PvP fights will be having a really good time. Talking through me kind of personally, we have got our commanders leveled up. We have pushed Dane Ironfoot, has gone all the way up to level 46. Of course, with the addition of XP scrolls up to level 45, we've used almost all of those on him to push him up to level 45, and then PvP in that Mirkwood area since has got him to 46. He's doing a very strong job as well. The rest are pretty much at 45. Sauron's almost there as well. And we've started putting together our second team, which is sitting over here on the Isengard front, looking to pick up some merit in this region. We're doing pretty well for merit and contribution. We are sitting 6th at the minute in Gondor. I think we've just dropped overnight. We were 5th as of yesterday. There's a lot of strong amounts of merit here. And this is coming from all over the map, because I don't learn, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but Aimi are on the Isengard side, so picking up a lot of Isengard merit. And then you've got Sampi Durin, Lightsaber, Moises, myself. Yeah, a lot of these are then over on the Lothlorien side, so we're kind of picking this up on both sides of the map. Looking at kind of production, which is normally a pretty good tell of how the server's going, as you'd expect, you can see that Gondor is, we have probably the most regions, so we're sitting at the top of production with Dawn and ourself, with over 4 mil production. Second up is Mordor, again, not surprising, as they probably have the second most regions. But then you have Fear, of course, Lyndon, which is quite surprising actually with how many regions they've lost. They still have managed to maintain a very strong level of production. Theo, however, fortunately has dropped down to 11th here with 1.1 million. However, hopefully they'll be able to get that up in future as they reclaim their lands. Lothlorien being probably the next faction is again not surprising, as they are I think probably the strongest faction potentially other than ourselves. Of course, we haven't fought Mordor yet, so we're yet to see. But they've got about 2.7 million production, and then Isengard has unsurprisingly dropped here with 2.4 million in total. Having lost a lot of their spawn lands, they will have lost a lot of tiles, so their production will drop. Anyway, if we start looking into these voice recordings, I said, so I've got voice recordings of many of the faction leaders. There are some that are still outstanding and some that have abstained, but any that I can bring you to give the story of the server, I will do. And we'll start first and foremost with Mordor. Dim Shady didn't provide this himself, but one of the officers of Mordor, this faction in Mordor, has brought it. So we'll leave Daru himself to talk through the Mordor story.
Hey y'all, Mordor here. So basically, from our point of view, if you were to look at the map right now, looks like there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 battle pins right now on the map. About 12 million in central Mirkwood. Gondor's up there helping us out too, up against Lot with CMPS. You guys are some damn whales. And we've been fighting Erebor, the bull group, for damn near this entire season. And honestly, good group of people. We fought them a couple times before this. I think this is probably the best season we've had against them. Strong group. But now we are pushing up through Kelduin Vale and central Mirkwood alongside Gondor as we attempt to take their capital. And all in all, so far, pretty exciting season, I would say. Definitely no factions going AFK, that's for sure. I mean, you got battle pins all over this map right now. We've pushed all the way up to the north. We're trying to support our allies over here in the east, the Easterlings. They're having a tough time. They may have gotten jumped for a second there, so trying to do our best to give them a hand, alleviate some of their pressure. And I believe Condor is doing the same for our other allies on the western half of the map, so they're pretty much split up right now. So right now, it's looking good for us, not looking too good for our enemies, but Lord knows what could happen tomorrow. In conclusion, Great season so far. It's kept us on our toes, that's for sure. And looking forward to a lot more fights with CMPS and the Bull faction, Airborne, Loth. I'd like to fight Isengard too, but they're a little trapped on the western half of the map. So, oh yeah, stop muting me. Heard our turd. Shady Gang out.
Next up, we will go to the Kingdom of Lyndon, and speaking for Lyndon, we have Cyrus of Fear. And he should help talk through kind of a little bit of the drama and how that unfolded in regards to the kind of deciding which side of the alliance to fall down with.
Hello everybody, this is Cyrus from Fear. This is my 5th season playing the game. Also, our 3rd season together as Fear. I was the leader for those 3 seasons, and this has been definitely a very interesting campaign. It's the first time that we've competed against such strong fellowships. At the beginning of the season, we had a deal reached with our neighbor Isengard. But then as things progressed, our faction partner Theo decided to side with Gondor. They had a previous relationship with them. And Fear decided that it was important for us to remain a united faction. This would provide us with protection and also give us the best possibility of progression in the season. So we decided to stick it out and be unified. We're doing our best as a new fellowship, and we're hoping that through this season we'll be able to introduce ourselves to everybody as being a strong, very active, and also honorable fellowship. That's important to me. It's important to the officers and the members, and I think in spite of everything that's happened, that we've been able to demonstrate that as a part of who we are. So we're trying to regain some lost ground right now and have as much fun as possible. And we thank you for the opportunity sharing this, and I hope to do our best this season. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Cyrus. Next up, we have CMPS and Lothlorien, and going through this is Dictator Warlord.
Hi all, this is Warlord from CMPS. Hyshw Gaming wanted me to give a quick rundown on how Loth's season has gone so far. This is the first season that the companions have gone to non-role play, so it's a bit of a new, interesting experience for us, as well as this is the first time we've experienced the new march mechanics and all of that, so it's been quite interesting so far. Going more so onto the season things, early on we knew how big of a threat Gondor would be. They looked like they were going to be the strongest faction, so we knew that they were probably going to be the one we'd be fighting, so we never did any kind of diplomatic talks with them. We just kind of, I think we both knew that, yep, that's the other team to beat, so we kind of just both rushed to the centre, both met in the centre and started scrapping. Some good fights, pretty much straight away got some red pins going, and that was a real good time. We were kind of at a stalemate, I would say. We were just at this one tunnel, I think connecting Southern Anduin Vale and Undeeps. And that was a bit of fun there. Then Isengard, one of our allies, moved over and was trying to take Karis home, I think was pushing them back. So we ended up diverting some of our firepower to help Isengard so they could secure the Karis capital, so they could relocate in. At this point, once Isengard did take that capital, Lyndon, who we'd also been talking to with the allies, they decided to switch and go on to Gondor's side. So the alliances look like Loth, Erebor, and Isengard versus Gondor, Lyndon, Mordor, Rhûn, and Rohan. So at this point, we kind of knew that holding the centre would not be viable anymore because there was going to be Lyndon hitting us from the side. They'd moved up to the northern passes that connected Loth and Lyndon. So we decided to put our fight with Gondor on hold and just try and rain a bit of hell upon Lyndon, just to try and give us, a bit of a buffer, either to get them to switch back or just to try and quickly wipe them off the map so they wouldn't really be able to impact us much. In doing so, Gondor made real good progress on us because we were pretty much leaving it undefended. At this point, our Season 2 Fellowship faction partners, they ended up starting to fight Rhûn, actually doing really good progress on them, which is really amazing for a Season 2 team. Mordor was making good progress on Erebor, so at this point it was pretty much our whole alliance was losing ground, but again we were sacrificing that ground that Gondor was making to try and put Lyndon out of the equation. So we did that for a few days. Then at this point Mordor was right on the doorstep of Erebor's capital, so we ended up moving back to our starting region of Elven King Halls, and started helping Erebor push Mordor back. Ended up gaining a really, really good juicy pin, I think around 25 million participants, which was awesome. Helped Erebor push Mordor a little bit further back, and then that's when Loth kind of took the reins and were like, we'll push Mordor back, you guys get a bit of farmland back. At this point, we were pushing towards the central Mirkwood Keep, and then that's when Gondor arrived and intervened, and that's kind of where we are currently at now. It's a bit of back and forth between CMPS and Dawn and Home in that central Mirkwood region. But yeah, it's been a real good season so far. Fighting-wise, it's obvious to me that we're a little bit too outnumbered to be able to compete for maybe a winning position this season, but it's endless fights, so no complaints here from CMPS. Wish all the best of luck to the rest of the teams in the server. Cheers,
Okay, next up, I haven't received my recording from Isengard, though I have had contact with one of their officers who's interested in doing so. If I do receive that, I'll include it in my next season update. Unfortunately, Bull decided to abstain as they didn't want to provide the recording, which is fair enough, as they faced us kind of 2 seasons in a row and ended up on the opposite side of us both times, so they're not particularly massive fans of us, so we'll leave them for now. And then we'll hear from Rhûn's leader, which is Lord Atriox, the Uniter of Val H.
Hello everybody, it's Atriox, leader of Valhalla in Rhûn this season. Our faction is facing a lot of challenges from Erebor and from LOTR. This season we started with 2 very big clans in Rhûn, Valh clan and Dark clan. Unfortunately, the Dark clan disbanded because the leader Achilles decided to betray our faction and to switch to Angmar together with his members, and most of the members from Dark switched to our second clan, and our main clan is still fighting a lot of guerrilla warfare against LOTR and against Erebor. Right now we are fighting against LOTR to recover our keep in Greater Rhûn, and we are in alliance with Gondor, Mordor and Lyndon against the other factions. So let's see what this season will bring.
Thank you, Atriox. And last up, we do actually have just a small kind of description. Of course, Angmar's kind of only been active for a short amount of time, but we do have the message from them. So he said, they were in Rhûn, but didn't get along with the Rhûn leader, of course, who we just heard from, Atriox, and so they left. They're allies at the moment. They're kind of allied with most of the people around them. Lyndon, Lothlorien, Gondor and Eisen, which is odd because we're all fighting with each other. But they're just trying to survive as a small group of mercenaries for hire. So fair enough, they're just trying to do what they can to stay active in their server, which is fair enough. You can't expect anything less, can't expect people to sit around and do nothing. Anyway, of course, that was something a bit different. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. I'll look towards doing this maybe again future in the server if you guys have liked it. If you do, if you want to see more of this, smash the like button, as it will show me that you have liked this format of video. And if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button as well to see my videos in future. And with that, I've been HJW Gaming, and I hope to see you on the next one.